What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Triangl. It's your boy D.
And it's your girl, CJ.
And it's former stripper turned political analyst, Angular Lotus Blossom, aka Brandy.
I'm sorry, that was so long. And we have a special guest today on our political episode. It's Mr. CJ Battle, here for the culture, is what he said. So I'm going with that. How you doing?
Hey, I'm blessed. Happy to be here.
So,
represent philanthropy for the culture.
Let me see. That's a cool shirt. So yeah,
Nice.
we're gonna be as respectful as possible to each other. We'll see how that goes.
Oh no.
We're usually actually pretty good about it, to be honest. Like
I think it's because we have a good foundation already. So we say stuff that may sound awful if we didn't love each other for
real. That part. You know,
because we say some shit to each other, but I've never taken it as like, I don't think any of us has ever gone to the other person and been like, can you believe what CJ said?
No. I think it's more, because we say it to each other's faces. I think that's what it is.
Out of respect. Out of respect.
That's how we show love.
Right? Well,
pretty much, yes.
That's true. Either you can handle it or you can't.
Basically. So I'm going to justify my verbal abuse from now on.
Oh my God.
How I show love.
Anyway, so this episode of The Triangl is post-election. It is now November 9th. Is it? Yeah, 9th?
And it's brought to you by the letter E.
Yeah. I'm done. It's not Sesame Street as I can't. People always say that it's really like not a good idea to talk about politics and religion. Those are two off topics at work and with a lot of your friends and stuff. But I think that's where the change needs to start. You know what I'm saying? Because when you don't talk about it, it's just like racism. If you don't talk about it, the same shit keeps happening over and over and over again. And that's why we're here today, to talk about that shit and get on each other's nerves. So can we just go around and just quickly say if you voted or not this election? Let's start with Miss Brandy over here. Did you vote?
Yes, I did.
What about you, CJ?
I am definitely team early voting because I ain't trying to see no lines.
Okay. What about you, D?
Yes, I did.
He got his fucking mirror. And I do not vote. So this should be interesting. Do you guys have a party affiliation as well?
I am nonpartisan, proudly nonpartisan.
Okay.
Yeah, but we discussed this in another episode when Demetrius and I were like, we don't attach ourselves. Don't let the blue light fool you. It's just cute.
It do feel kind of like that old school TLC red light special.
It does a little bit.
Blue light special.
Cause I can. Y'all want red? I can get red.
Oh no, you done got her started. Look at all them colors. Okay.
You gonna have these viewers out here in those DMs.
They're gonna be out here like, let me see your titty sprinkles.
And I get fired.
No, for real. Okay, so
titty sprinkles.
No, let me see your titty sprinkles. Sorry, CJ, are you nonpartisan partisan either?
I am definitely nonpartisan for several reasons, but that stuff ain't really for us, in my opinion.
Okay. So are we all comfortable talking about who you voted for as well? We good? We don't have no secrets? No secrets? Okay, so who did everybody vote for? Just out of curiosity.
Myself. Not just playing.
Nigga, you wrote your name in. It was like CJ Battle.
Exactly.
Running for president.
If you voted for Kanye, just say that.
I know, right? Just say it. Even Kim was happy that blue won. So I don't know. Y'all seen them memes?
So shady.
She was like, yay, Biden. She put 3 blue hearts, and the next slide was Kanye with his mouth open, but I was on the ballot.
You knew I was running.
Mm-hmm. So who did everybody vote for this time around?
For which race? I assume you mean president.
Yeah, presidential. Yeah.
Hey man, it could have been a clothes hanger, and I would have voted for that over the current administration.
Not a clothes hanger.
Don't talk though.
No, I mean, I agree. So who'd you vote for, D?
I went the Biden route.
Biden.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went the Kamala route.
Oh, okay. The Kamala route. Okay. What about you, Brandy?
Why do you know? You see me? Got my Kamala wig on.
Is it Kamala? How does she pronounce her name?
I think it's Kamala.
Kamala.
I kind of like to say
Oh,
Kamala.
it's Kamala.
Kamala. There we
Kamala?
go. Thank you.
Kamala.
Yeah.
Because someone had really cute shirts that had like a comma and then Allah, so people could say it like that.
Okay.
I thought that was a smart idea. And I think it's cute how on her Instagram page, I think she got something that say auntie or something like that. Okay.
Oh, not Auntie Kamala.
Yes.
What?
Oh yeah, she is definitely team cute sexy auntie or whatever. She ain't got no
By
kids.
the way, she looked good for being 56. I just want to throw it out there.
He's 56.
She's 56,
Yeah,
y'all.
bro.
Damn.
Yeah, bro.
You don't let that hate
she-
get you hard.
She popped up on the nation screen when Barack's first campaign, and he went out to California and gave her special mention.
I know he did.
Also a Scorpio, by the way, just so you know.
Is she?
Yes.
Hey, those are dangerous.
Her birthday
Hey,
is
those
the
Scorpios are
21st.
dangerous.
20th.
20th or 2. So that makes her a Libra, honey.
No, she's a Scorpio, isn't she?
It makes her a Libra. The first day for you.
She's a cusp
Scorpios,
then. Cusp.
First day for you Scorpios is
Look at both y'all trying to claim.
We like trying to take
Well,
her.
It's
We're
not
trying to take her.
She's a Libra.
You're
And
trying to
CJ
claim.
thought she was going to, win this. And
Take her. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out where
She's
she
thinking keep Kris Jenner.
Not Kris Jenner. I'll take Kris Jenner. She a boss lady too. I mean, there's a lot of them like that. I believe she's mixed Southeast Asian too, right?
South Asian, yeah.
Yeah,
She
South
is,
Asian. Talk about a win for the Blasian community. So, 'cause you don't get to see that either.
She is definitely team Blasian.
Yeah, Team Blasian.
Someone asked me today, did I feel like she felt less Black, or maybe like she had to work harder for the Black support because she married somebody who's not undeniably Black or whatever.
Of course she did.
And
Hey,
I would like to think no, because I'm like, she purposely went to an HBCU. And I'm not like, why? I don't think she's questioning that, in my opinion. I'm like,
I would like to say no, but I know that's not true because that's the life that I live.
Well, your life ain't everybody's life, CJ.
First of all, bitch, listen. But what I'm saying is, I got one too, bitch. I can talk all day too.
I
we have the
many
same
interviews of
exact
her
thing.
talking about specifically her marriage, but it is kind of a open secret that the Black community do hold that against you in the public
that was one of the,
especially amongst Black women, ironically.
that was one of my arguments. I mean, for me not voting, because not that specifically, it's just that in the Black community, and then we've talked about on different aspects and different levels, because Brandy and Dee are also alterna Black, if you think about it. You know what I mean by that? Like, you're into anime and cosplay, right?
Are you putting
You're
my
gay, so that automatically puts you out into a whole nother level in the Black community. And me being mixed, but being able to, some people would think that I'm swinging both ways, when in fact I embrace both cultures in my life. You know what I'm saying? But some people don't see it that way. And then on top of it, my fiance is white. So that makes it even harder for people to be embraced. Like, anytime, like I've said this before, anytime people talk to me and then they're like, oh, let me see a picture of your fiance, and I pull up this white lumberjack looking dude in my phone, they just, I can immediately see that they're taken back in that moment.
Hey,
and
that mean he's grown.
Huh?
That mean he's grown.
He's
Strong with a K.
I don't understand the Black women that give other Black women a hard time from that, because the girlfriend that asked that, I'm like, I'm sorry, I give Black women a pass that I may not instinctively give to Black men, because I know the first time I even heard about Obama, I was like, I need to see this Negro's wife. If I can smell the cocoa butter through the screen when I see his wife, I'm on board.
But see, why does it make you feel like that?
I don't do that to the women. The women, they're like, oh, she married a white guy. I don't care. I don't care.
Right, but it's the weirdest thing for me, because I feel like, because of things like that, because it goes back to our DNA and what's been put there in slavery and stuff. We haven't healed completely, and that's the reason why we're nitpicking within our own society.
Ooh, don't get
I'm
me
telling
started
you.
with that one.
Right,
But
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's the point of the show. We can get started.
Without a doubt, though, is you don't need a survey or any study to tell you this, even though there are. But Black women are the most loyal group on anything they commit to
Every time.
And it actually applies to interracial dating. Black women are the least likely to date outside their race than any other subgroup in the entire United States.
And I don't think people see it that way. They don't know, and that's the reason why Black women have the most ownership of like their own business in the U.S. percentage wise. Because if you think about,
definitely flourishing.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they when they commit, they commit. It's done deal. So you know when your mama say no, it's no. If they say yes, yeah, it goes to all levels of life.
You can hear somebody else's Black mama say no.
Oh, you like, oh, my bad, Mrs. So-and-so, my bad.
Right.
I mean, I have not made it any secret for anybody that I have been interacting with over the last few days or weeks or whatever. But this election is really, really, truly. You got as far as the presidential election is concerned, there's a lot of issues and a lot of things that people cared about. The number one thing that people were voting on is whether or not you were for or against Trump.
Right.
And behind that move, for me, just below that topic is from primaries all the way to November 3rd. This is definitely the election of Black women. Black women have ran this election, and they are the reason for everything, a lot of the things that transpired from the primaries going forward.
I think they had a lot of stuff going on in the forefront this time. I agree with that. So here's my question. How do you feel about people who don't vote? Because obviously I'm one of them. Never voted in my life. And I'm totally used to the conversation by now. I'm 38 years old. I have gone back and forth with people. And I think a lot of the problems arise with people who typically say, I don't vote because I don't care, or I don't vote because I don't see that it makes like any type of matter or difference. Like I come from a different place. I don't vote because I want to make a change. I know that sounds fucking contradictive as fuck, and I understand that, but I don't vote.
I was just going to ask, is coming from your standpoint, why is it that you do not vote?
There's so many layers to that.
Hey,
answer, but
I'm on your platform, so I got time.
Okay, yeah. So to generalize it, I don't want to generalize it too much because there's so many points to that. But if I had to like take one, for example. People vote and they make such a big deal about the presidential elections, and nobody knows anything about their local government. You know what I'm saying? And just like when we got Obama in office the first time, 2008, 2 years after that, in 2010, people were supposed to go back and vote for the congressman. Right? Nobody went and talked about it. There was nothing on the media coverage, really. Nobody went locally. There was no voting fucking social media situation happening about rocking the votes in 2010 for Congress and Senates and things like that, or your local situation. So the thing that has failed us, to me, is the educational system, because we learned in grade school that there are 3 branches of government, right? The president falls under the executive branch, right?
Correct.
So the legislative branch is the ones who actually make the laws, and the judicial branch is the ones who actually like review the laws. And the people who carry it out, which is basically say yes or no, is the president and the people who are in those types of positions. So in essence, to me, if you're not voting locally, what is the point of voting for Biden or Trump or any other presidential candidate who can't make a real difference in the legislative branch? They're not the ones coming up with those policies. They are the only one. They're either vetoing it or checking it off or trying to make small changes with it. Of course, they have a whole party behind them. That's the whole point. But to me, it like doesn't make sense that we don't start at the bottom for the changes, not at the top. Does that make sense?
So, hey, you just spelled out more than half of my argument for me with that breakdown. But I still don't. But knowing that context, so you're saying you don't vote for president, or you just don't vote?
I don't vote, period, because I don't think there has been a movement big enough for me to have a ballot that looks good to me. So, for example, I live in Texas. If you go to a local voting situation for like mayors, whatever, out of the 47 names that were there, only 3 are Democratic. So what voice do I actually have? Because you don't, because out of the 47 candidates, you have 3 to pick from. Those 3 are not going to be somebody who have the stances that I have, because it's such a small party. And the difference would be is that like out of those 47, there were a lot more Republican candidates that have the same platform, that have the platform that I agree with than the Democratic. But do I want to vote Republican that way? No, because it ends up going towards Trump. And to me, Trump is racist, he's sexist, he's ageist, he's everything that I don't stand for. That makes it very hard for me to choose who I want to vote for.
I'm going to push pin question really
Yes.
quick. And this is also for, because we know we'll have listeners, because there are some people that don't vote because they are that far on the tinfoil hat thing where they're like, none of it matters. They pick who they want to anyway. And
I'm slightly agree with that too.
You were really more so leaning towards that more than anything else you just said, just because of the light conversations we had, because we've never really gotten to
right. So I think a lot of people think of like super tinfoil hat, like
I mean, because you are.
I am, and I really do. And when I say things like it doesn't matter who's president, because at this point. For example, one of the articles I read a really long time ago was about this guy who lived in California, and he had casted a vote, like a mail-in vote. It had to be postmarked by June 10th at the time, I believe. But the results of Hillary taking California came out on June 8th. She won California. He put his ballot in on the 7th, mailed it in, so it's postmarked before the 10th. But the announcement that Hillary won California came out on the 8th. So his question to everybody was, do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I think that falls under margins. So
I understand the margin. I understand the margin, but if the margin is what determines what's happening, how is he that particular? I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying how is he as a person, just one person, because they're always talking about one person can make a difference. How is he supposed to feel like his vote made a difference when he mailed it in on the 7th? The next day...
Well, you have to look at the mathematics behind it, because if you look at the total population versus the amount of votes that they have in one direction, it's like, what's the point of counting all the rest of them?
That part. So
based on the math,
that brings me to...
the other opponent wouldn't have an opportunity to win.
That brings me to the Electoral College. It makes no fucking sense.
Okay, I can understand.
That's a whole different topic. Let's pause that one. Yes, it is.
Because
the Electoral College is not all right, first and foremost, the United States is a republic, not a democracy.
Right.
It is a republic.
I don't think people know that.
It's set up.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
It's set up. When we say Western culture, we basically mean European culture.
Right.
They have based a lot of their mores and standards of doing things based upon old Rome.
Right.
And the Electoral College is about preservation of power. Much, and even more specifically, that's what political parties are for.
Yeah.
Political parties are not for your country or your community.
Exactly.
Political parties are about a concentration of power. Period. There's that is the major. You've been hearing it pretty much before we even hit puberty about hearing people screaming about why we only got two parties to choose from. Well, they set the deck.
Right.
At the turn of the 20th century. They went in state by state and made it harder for any new parties, because if you actually look up just the presidents alone, we ain't even gonna get into other positions below that or other elections, other elected positions.
Yeah.
But you will notice that there are different names of political parties for those presidents.
Right.
And then all of a sudden at one point, it just went from all of those to just these two. Well, that's because they then set the deck so that the rules make it harder for a political party to be officially recognized in each state already. So when you have these political parties, they already have these signatures validated for their candidate already ready to go in each of these individual states. Whereas a new party would have a hard time collecting all of those and meeting the sampling standards in order to get on a national ballot.
Right.
But to back up to your original question of the importance of why it is important for people to vote at all, because I have less of your perspective and more of the more people feel voiceless.
And not that I don't understand that either, because part of it is that, because I think I talked to probably Brandy about it before, or no, I was posting on your post on Facebook causing ruckus like I always do.
Yeah.
So my thing is I think a lot of people feel like, what have they done for me? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So when we voted Obama into office, when I say we, I mean y'all. When Obama came into office, and the Obamacare was only great for certain types of people. Did it work for some of us? Yes. Some of us were really scared if you didn't have a job and didn't have health insurance that you would have to pay at the end of the year, because so it was the weirdest thing. If you couldn't afford health insurance, you had to pay a penalty. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was
and there was a reason for that, but
and I understand the reason behind it, but here's the thing. I don't think
it was definitely a flawed piece of legislation.
It was, and it had a lot of writers on it, and which is why it passed. Those writers are what made it pass. And if you don't know what writers are, guys, it's extra pieces of laws that go onto the major law that people talk about on media. They secretly put extra shit on it and pass laws.
What they used to call adding additional pork onto legislation.
Right.
Because all right, so the fact is that if people remember and see, because our attention span is very short, we're getting into a whole different topic about a specific piece of legislation, but no one from the Obama administration wrote so much as one sentence of the ACA.
Right. But it doesn't matter because
it was called the Obamacare initially by the opposing party as a slur, and Obama pretty much took it like we took the N-word and pretty much like, oh yeah, I do care. So yeah, look, I don't got no problem you calling it that, and that's how it became Obamacare.
And that's the issue.
It was mapped off of the legislation that was actually a Republican proposal from the early 90s that was passed in the state of Massachusetts under then Governor Mitt Romney. And then because George W. Bush and the Republican administration had, so much to your point about breaking down the branches of government, we often put a lot of stuff on presidents and governors that are not their job.
Exactly.
Presidents and governors do not create jobs.
No,
they do not. They do not raise or decrease taxes.
That is the reason why our minimum wage hasn't moved.
They call this the Trump tax. Trump did not write that. Clearly, Trump ain't writing any damn thing.
But he ain't about to write shit. Neither is Biden's 70-fucking-year-old ass.
Paul Ryan and some political think tanks had written up that tax plan 10 years ahead of time, and they just needed a president to sign it. It was ready to go when Trump got in office. And if you go back and you can easily Google it, Paul Ryan said that was his crowning achievement, was to get that tax bill passed. But every single election, you have certain third rail issues that are mere distractions because they are never going to go anywhere. Abortion, taxes, or gun rights, or any of these other things would not be touched. Because if you really want to look at history, it's hard for Congress to do anything back when they were working across the aisle.
Right.
They hardly ever pass any new tax legislation except for very small targeted legislations. To have a whole overhaul that's going to affect everybody's income tax and capital gains tax. Capital gains is the tax made from money that you don't work for, simply put.
And so
those taxes hardly ever change. We are going to be under this current tax law, regardless of what Biden may or may not have wanted to have. Even if he would have got a majority Senate and a majority House, we are going to continue to be under this tax law until 2026.
And so that's the
go
part.
Than that.
That's the part that like really goes back to what I was saying is education. So you, I, Brandy D, obviously we're the type of people to go digging in for information. And that's why we can talk about it like this in a deep matter. But most people in the United States do not do that. And that's the issue that I have is like, how many people do you know that can name all names that were on the ballot this time other than Biden?
Well, a lot of them can't because for fun and entertainment. You know how a lot of you know how a lot of the TV show hosts, they like to go out in the streets and they're like, well, name me the branches of government. And people are like,
And you
and they're like,
can't.
well, name me the Kardashian sisters. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I totally, from my tinfoil hat, I get why something like that would be done on purpose and that we're continuously entertained and distracted.
Right.
It does make sense if I want to run stuff in a certain way. I get it. But I'm also a type of person, and maybe it's because I'm a Libra.
You are.
Where I don't believe that, but I'm trying to be fair, like, you know, our new VP.
And
so if you're not going to, most people probably don't know what the fuck's really going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
We don't even really know.
But right, while you're playing. But I know one thing about people, because I live in a building where there's like probably 80% of the tenants here are all like 70 plus white people that are very upset right now because I heard
Of course.
And to what I've noticed about them, and we all know it's layers to this, but there is this entitlement to this is my country and this person represents me and they're going to do this for me. I get why a lot of us don't support in that way, in the same way we be looking at the police crazy. It makes sense. But I am all about also at least vote for the image of. I may not have agreed with a lot of stuff Obama was doing before he even got to where he was at. Because when I started doing my research and reading about him and how my family was looking at me crazy, because I was like, well, let me see what Mitt Romney's talking about. And I'm getting looked at crazy because I want to explore all avenues of it.
Right.
But I also decided for myself, you know what, at the end of the day, and I think that was probably around the time I found that I was having that one. I'm like, images are important to me. And we know from our conspiracy theory mind, the image of is very important.
And
because
that's why
we go all this time seeing these same white men run stuff on a small level and a big level. And I'm like, and nobody's tired of that? Or the people that are tired of it look like us, but they're fine with it. And they're going to keep pushing and voting for it. So the least we could do is show up and show out and be annoying and vote and protest and do whatever.
Right.
Like, we're not going to come off your necks. This image is important. And you know this image is important, which is why you keep pushing your own agenda with it. You know it.
Guess my
In addition to that, if you look historically, like people died so that I can have the opportunity to have an opinion and a choice. Right, so I'm going to make sure I do my due diligence. I'm going to have to die on that part. I feel like the giving us the right to vote was the same reason why they gave women the right to vote, to shut us up. I'm not going to lie. That's how I feel about it. Because let me explain. We just got the Crown Act. That was September of 2020. The Crown Act. Do y'all know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who are listening or watching,
we haven't gotten that federally, have we?
Yeah, we have. It got passed federally in September of this year. So the Crown Act, if you don't know what it is the right for anybody to wear their natural hair any way they want to and not get discriminated against.
You were going to say it that PC.
and not get discriminated against in school, at work, or whatever. We all know that it just passed, so it's still fucking happening, just like racism is still happening, obviously.
Girls' hair out and undoing braids.
Yeah,
right. So here's my deal.
You're not allowed to wear dreads or braids or anything like that.
I'm still watching videos on like World Star where Black people wearing Nike shoes aren't allowed in restaurants, but white people who are wearing like New Balances
was it with that little kid?
No, I've seen that one too. This is a different one.
That was in Atlanta that she was referring to.
Yeah, the one with the big dude who was like, I ain't scared of jail because she had like an Adidas fucking pair of shoes on.
His wife is actually a well-known attorney that was videoing that whole thing. But,
so she was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get him out, no worries. But my problem is that the images are super important. I agree with that. That's why when people are like, oh, all these Black movies are coming now, they're pandering to us. They need to, because we haven't had it. And if this is the way in, I'll take it for my future kids.
With like, we know cash is king, and you know that, and you're fine with it.
You gotta do it.
If cash is king, okay, let it be king.
But here's the thing. Then the other flip side is the same people who are saying that are mad at Black celebrities who are trying to get that cash by doing whatever they can, whether it's talking to Trump, talking to the other party to bring that image. Because we talked about Jay-Z and Beyonce, they did what they had to do to climb that game, to climb that ladder and to make the changes, because now Beyonce is at a place where she don't give a fuck. She can do whatever she wants to. Same thing with Jay-Z. But until you get to that place, you have to be willing to play the game, because we don't own all of the things that are out there. That's the problem.
Well, let's back up to, I like to boil things down to a simplest part before we get into some of these specific topics that we have gotten into.
Yes.
The original question
got
is
like 3 minutes though. We got to take a break.
Why is it important? Oh, well, I can get to this when we get back from the break. You
want to take a break first?
This one is going to be is a very important for why people should vote, and it has nothing to do with candidates.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I don't think people are voting for candidates for the most part, right? That's the issue.
Because we are since the television days in this country. It started with radio, but before then it was newspapers, and then it led to TV, cable, and now internet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's WMDs, weapons of mass distraction, where we are so as much of a quote unquote Christian nation that they tend to have this be. We are so caught up in idolatry. We like having images to follow and be passionate about. But the real fact of the matter is that in this republic/democracy, power is in numbers. And the most important thing on your ballot is not the president of the United States. The most important thing on your ballot is a ballot initiative or a ballot amendment to your constitution, because those go into effect sometimes at 9 a.m. the following morning.
Right.
And that is what dictates your funding for your school systems, your tax rates on your houses.
Ask 100 people right now on the streets and ask them if they know that.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean.
The question. We have to re-educate people to break away from
it boils down to education. That's what I keep saying.
And basically, we have to realize that yes, even if you go into the ballot and exit, I am a big proponent of if you don't see any candidates that if you don't know them, don't vote for them. We vote for people that we don't know. Every year there are judges on your local election that you are voting for based on their political party. Right. And both of those candidates made it to that point because we didn't participate in the primary to stop them from being in, but both of them are locking us up.
Yep. Well, that's what I mean.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. So I think that it's important for the education system to change because we're still in labor education instead of like growth education. And that's the difference that needs to happen because
but
we're
if
still
we had more of us that were in the mindset that we're in and you're at least voting for something. Then we can get more something else done to set a better foundation for our kids. Because now we have to think about that because we're done. Now we have to think about,
and it's like I said, it's not that I don't want to vote. It's like I can't vote. I physically cannot do it because of the names on the ballot and the things that are happening around me.
But while I can understand the hopelessness of a lot
of
people,
hopelessness.
Not yours. That's why I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
For the majority of the people that don't vote, they don't vote because they don't feel like their voice matters. The only time people will even engage with them is during an election year. Nobody's asking about whether or not they got clean water or whether or not they got resources or whether they don't understand what their government is supposed to do for them. Your government is by law required to do a lot of things for you. The candidates you're on your state legislature, your federal legislature, your representative, they are all granted funding by the state and the federal government to have a staff, regardless of if you voted for them or not, to answer your questions, explain in detail what it is that a legislation is for. And if you run into any issues with government, or even if you're going on travel to get a visa, that staff is supposed to help you get it.
That's the key word. You just said it, supposed to.
Oh, no, it's required by law.
I understand that, but the problem is that
the people that like yourself is more disappointing for you because you actually know how government works.
That's what I mean.
And you don't participate.
The reality of it is that like what you're explaining right now is more utopian than anything because there is not actually the majority. Yes, maybe, but when you come to places like Texas and you go, a great example would be when we first passed the law that gay marriage was legal. And do you remember that crazy lady at that office who was like refusing
in Kentucky?
Thank you. I can't remember her name, but she refused.
Her name is not important.
Yeah, and was like, I'm not signing that. I'm not notarizing shit. And there was many others that were in similar cases across the nation. And what I mean by that is because we're in a nation where people are not educated the way they need to be, it's so hard to make those changes at this level. I'm not even talking about the top. I'm talking like mediocre, medium level. So at the bottom is where we have to start from scratch.
Being hard doesn't mean it's impossible.
No, it's not impossible. But
is.
we'll come back to it because we do have to take a break, or it's going to be like a 3-hour show. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I need a refill on my crown anyway. We'll be right back.
Not your crown.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back.
Live. Coming to the stage.
Reporting live.
That's the wrong one.
What's good?
Sorry.
I know you have like one of the coolest names, not just because you're named after that bitch DJ too.
First of all,
I love your last name.
Well, thank you.
It's really cool.
That's a good last name. So here's the thing. So we going. I really want to get into like. I know we've talked about different, branches of the government a little bit, local offices. What would you mainly tell people? Like, it needs to be a little bit more succinct so we can keep it under 30 minutes. But what would you tell people who are like, oh, you need to vote this party or that party, or people like me who are like, doesn't matter if you vote.
Suck my ass. That's what I'll tell them.
What?
Suck my ass. Suck my ass.
Oh, suck your ass! Like, god damn. Let me go get a Gatorade bottle. Hold on.
I would rarely be the type of person to tell anybody to vote for a particular party. If you actually look at a lot of the since the time that Black people have been a part of the voting process in past, which was Reconstruction. Clearly, they were loyal to the Republican Party because that was a brand new party that literally rewrote the Constitution to make those truths to be self-evident possible with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Actually, I would put it in a way that other people can relate to. We all buy products, right? You buy that iPhone?
Hell no. Android all the way.
I'm just saying, like,
I get you.
Get the fuck out of here. Turn his mic off.
I feel victim.
All right, so you buy a device or a TV or whatever the case. It comes with what's called a warranty,
right?
Which guarantees you certain protections as a consumer, not from the government, from the company itself. We understand that concept, right?
Right.
That's what your local government laws.
But does it apply to us actually though? Does it though? Let's be real.
Absolutely.
Let's be real. Let's be real. Okay, I say that because let's talk about the percentages of Black people who are locked up versus the percentages of Black people being killed by cops. Because if there isn't a reform at the bottom level, that doesn't apply to us. I'm telling you, everything that's melanated is not for us. Listen to me. Everything melanated is not for us.
If I have to do a mute button, I will. Okay? This is not going to be Biden Trump 2.0.
No, we're not like that.
Goddamn time.
All right,
no, go ahead, Mr. CJ Battle. Go ahead.
Case in point. I believe it was Tom Hanks. He made a movie in the 90s that was not one of his more well-known ones, but it was he played this real-life congressman that was known on the Hill as Good Time Charlie. And if you listen to the real life, they said in the movie, but he actually says in real life how he got involved in politics.
Right.
Well, he got involved in politics because he was in a small town in Texas, and the dude was mean to him and hit his dog.
Right.
Ran over his dog. So what he did was he saw democracy in action. Is he went over to the other side of town, used the pickup truck to pick up Black voters. He didn't want nothing else other than to get this dude out of office. That's it. It was the power of numbers. And most of your local elections, most of those elections before 2010, and we'll get to that in a minute because about gerrymandering and whatnot. But before then, most of your local elections, whether it was a candidate or ballot initiative, most of those were decided by under 100 votes.
Right.
I have an aunt living in one of the suburbs of Atlanta right now. She literally won her seat 51-50.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So here's my thing. So really, what we're all talking about is that it boils down to one thing: education. It really does, because if you're not educating people to go out and vote for these local,
you have to tell people what's in it for them. So if you want real change, we are in the habit of waiting on parties to listen to us. In actuality, in most states, not all states, but in a good 35 plus of them, you yourself can gather up like-minded people to sign a petition to put it on the ballot for that next upcoming election. They actually did this in Michigan and Utah to get rid of gerrymandering, so that they can have a less partisan redistricting of their state, so that there won't be these power games. And
I would be interested.
How they would do the maps on the gerrymandering, that was crazy.
But here's the thing: I would be interested to look at the demographic of those places, because I don't believe that was an all-black area. I want to say that was mostly Caucasian.
You missed what I said. I said the entire state.
But what I'm saying
to make it so hard, I live here in Florida now. That was actually one of the ballot amendments on the
which party was it for?
Was that
for Michigan?
Huh?
Which party was it for?
So you missed the whole thing. That applied to redistricting at all. That wasn't a voting for a party issue.
So do you think the education system in that state is much higher than, let's say, Louisiana and Georgia and Mississippi, which is the bottom three?
Yeah, you know I'm from Alabama. I know my state.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Those four states that are in the bottom feeding situation with the education system, Louisiana being one of the worst too, because I used to live there. Like, the craziest thing is, like, do you think something that would actually work in a state like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia?
Yes.
And I'm gonna have to disagree. I just don't think it works. It is built right now, the way education is sent.
You just named one of the states. In 2 years, what happened in the state of Georgia?
That's great, yeah.
What happened?
But here's the thing.
And they did exactly that for 2 years without taking 1 week off. They didn't just focus on mostly Black Atlanta. No, they went to the rural parts of the state and found people that were not voting.
So if it does work,
they don't move.
Why do you think that it's still an issue that we have with all of the things that are affecting the Black and brown community?
Because we do not believe. Every system in the United States is built on faith. Pull out any currency of any denomination of your dollar bills. It is fiat currency built on faith. The whole peaceful transition of presidential power is built on faith.
So that takes me to a place of because as much as people say religion is not part of anything that's supposed to be political or whatever, it is. It really is.
It's used to manipulate people.
Right. And then, so based on things like that, on top of education not being available, on top of people not understanding how all these things work, on top of all of these other things, I really think that if you don't have some type of revolution and re-education and rebuilding of all of the things that have been, listen, the Constitution was built written when? We weren't part of that.
I'm gonna push pin in your back and forth for the both of you really quick, because I went in.
Microphone.
Hold on, I have to. Reporting live, breaking news. I agree with CJ's passion, and I love everything she's saying, because I'm like, CJ, in your own way, you could be a Stacey Abrams.
I know.
This is my whole thing with you, and I'm not trying to convert you into being a voter and all the rest of it.
Right.
You're overly educated and qualified in ways to talk.
But here's the thing: I want to be a voter.
And I know you do. But
I do.
Let's say if you never do, and you decide, like you said, you're thinking about all these things that you feel like should have passed sooner. Or if you got a group of people together, you're like, hey, y'all taking too long with this Crown Act. Let me go ahead. You could be
that trailblazer.
Yeah. I agree. And that is why I started this podcast.
That's what makes this country special.
But like I told you too, you don't even, not saying we want you to lead a triangle, but even on your own, I told you this the last time we recorded. I said, girl, 5-10 minutes a day, you could be giving people that work and that.
And this might be the next step.
And that way, it doesn't have to be a thing where it's like, and I'm not saying you do this because you're working, but there's so many people that are just like, well, I don't vote, and they're sitting back. And I'm like, you could be doing something else. We don't have to wait till they restructure the whole education system.
I agree with that. And I'm not saying that it has to be the full entirety of it, because it's just like if you took a university and you had classes that were bad, that was affecting the whole population of the school, that you would take those out and replace them slowly. It wouldn't be an overnight thing.
I think I have a very I don't even know what to call it. I'm very reactive to this whole, well, we're waiting on, because I feel like as a group of colors,
you cannot wait on anybody to save us.
On something, and it's that like, well, when this and this gets together, when I see this, then I'll do that.
So here's the funniest thing to me, right? What you just said, we can't wait on anybody to make these changes. I am in agreement with where everybody on this conversation is trying to get to. I just don't agree in the way that we are getting there. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is I want people to take action.
Not just the no.
I want people to vote. I want people to vote for the right person. I want people to vote for the right changes that affect people in a positive way, that we can rebuild the nation so that it's positive for the majority. So I agree in all of those things. I just think that it's very utopian in nature to think that it's going to be something that can happen.
It's funny. I was just about to say that everything you just said.
Right back at me. That's what I'm saying. I think we're on the same path.
Right.
We're on the same path, but I'm walking on the left-hand side and you're walking on the right-hand side is what I'm saying. And I think sometimes I pick up pumpkins and you rather get squirrels.
I'm gonna try to repeat to you what I heard you say.
Okay.
Is that you want
this bitch?
Not this
bitch. You want people to. You want things to change for the betterment of the majority of people, right? You want the government
because
to be
if
for
you
the
think
people.
about it, the majority of people right now, this year has been one of the best years to understand that all of these things that were supposed to be in place to help us didn't help us. Look at the results. The pandemic fucking put it out in there.
That's because we have been hands off for the majority of this country. I can literally tell you, as somebody that actually, read up on historical policy, there are about 4. I hate you use this phrase in media, watershed moments.
Well, it's true though.
But in 1896, there was a massive uprising from the everyday working person. And you had 3 mega rich dudes who saw this massive backlash of populists going against their interests for things like a minimum wage.
Right.
And it was the most contested, heated election, probably in the top 3 contested heated elections for president that year. And these 3 dudes hated each other's guts, but it was in their common interest to put as much money as they could to buy off their president.
Shit, we don't even have to go back that far. Last week, Poland.
Well, I was naming that as one example.
Yeah, so Poland recently, you saw that news, right? Where the women just went on strike. I mean, it's a little bit different.
I read more up on that. Side note for whoever's listening, don't just read memes and
don't just read memes.
Yeah, don't get your news.
Because I saw the meme and I was like, okay, they pulled, because I think I've heard of that.
No, there's a lot more that went down with it.
There was a lot more, but I was like, that meme was not entirely true, but it made me research
that part. So there's a lot that went down in Poland about abortion laws and stuff. Of course, not a whole bunch of millions of women didn't actually not show up to work and actually.
The main story wasn't, they stopped having sex with their husband. This wasn't shocking.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's not true.
No.
But the point of that story being that there, like you said, I agree, there is power in numbers, but the problem is that our country our government especially has made it a point to make our country divisive.
Do you know who controls government in our country?
We're supposed to.
No.
We are.
No, I agree. We are supposed to.
That's the problem that I have.
The question was, do you know who actually does
the
right?
13 families at top. I know people disagree with me all the time on that, and that becomes my tin hat.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, those secret societies and family legacies.
I don't think it's a secret society. I just know that there are people with money who have the ability to swing.
I'm telling you for a fact that if you want to know what happens on your headlines, it's usually triggered because of something that happened with money 2 months prior to that.
But that's what I'm saying. The people with money are the ones who are making the decisions for you.
But we make it seem like, trust me, if you've been around uber wealthy people, you realize they ain't that damn smart.
No, they're really not. And I am because of my brother's position.
But the ones that actually run this country the ones that actually run this country are companies.
That's what I mean. So like the 13 families are the ones who own all those companies, dude.Ey're not the ones who are making they're not the ones making.
There's a lot more families in the United States than there are in France. That's why we have more millionaires and billionaires than any other country.
The millionaires are not the ones doing all of that. I'm telling you that right now because I come from knowing all that.
Reel that in because that's actually a whole nother show.
That's a whole different thing.
It is, but what I'm saying is because the control doesn't rest with the people like it should when it doesn't though. When's the last time the minimum wage went up?
We have
somebody tell me when the last time the minimum wage went up.
Time out because if the people don't control anything,
minimum wage ballot initiative. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead because you're the guest.
Oh no, go ahead. You were talking. By all means.
I was going to because I feel where you're coming from, but then it's also canceling out just everything that was talked about before because it's one of those things whether we either have control or we don't. And I don't believe every time we're allowed something or controlled that it's somebody like Dan's puppet.
I don't think politics is black and white. I think politics is gray.
It's definitely a gray area. But here's the thing. If we're going to operate in the gray area, just as much as we can be one way, you can be the other way when it actually counts. And I think we're talking to you in this sense because we're talking to anybody that
people who don't vote. Yes.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's not like you know what I mean?
No, I get it.
And I'm all about being the change you want to see. You know, someone named Michael Jackson.
Like, because here's the thing. Like,
but to answer your question, we just passed that law, and it was a voter ground roots thing to get on the ballot.
Right.
Florida just passed a law that we will be going to a $15 minimum wage.
Wait, for Florida? I'm talking like
the entire state of Florida.
Right, but I don't live in Florida.
But if you understand you got to understand that United States is more of a corporation than it is anything.
It is a corporation. It's not more of it is a corporation.
We have
to look at what precedent that's going to set. If Florida is able to pass it, so you know what I mean, other states are going to jump on that bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very important precedent to set.
Like it is a corporation. So we've been bought out already.
I mean, if you really want to get like very nerdy about it, you can look at any particular branch of government, but especially the case with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will actually hold off on making a decision a lot of times, and they will put it in the notes. The country ain't ready for it yet. We need at least 5 states to pass this law before
that's how it starts.
And it waits 20 years.
Look at with marijuana. Look at Nevada with marijuana.
But I think that's what my point is.
Nevada, and then it's spread. You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's my point. If it's good for the country, okay, what about gay marriage? How about that?
Wait, if you're saying if it's good for the country and then you say gay marriage, not that I'm against it, so nobody comes to me.
Damn, Brandy.
I feel like that's completely different. I mean, like, in the sense of, okay, because I think anybody should be able to get married as long as people are of age, because I don't want to get into that whole rabbit hole. Like, do your thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with, in my opinion, don't nobody come to me. There's a hierarchy of issues, and I loved how Dave Chappelle put it because I do feel like there's a cutting in line.
I know what he said too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we haven't gotten this basic level of this doesn't.
But that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. How is it that
covering this?
How is it that something like that got passed before
because that's easier. I
know.
But it's easier to handle than the issue that this country has from jump, the root cause. And I'm going to even go more like spacey and out there because, you know, I believe in generational curses and all that.
Hey, I'm with you.
As a whole, we're on tainted.
That's what we talk about, healing and whatnot.
Issues as a nation, like spiritually, you know, psychologically, there's a lot of different barriers to break down, but I do believe, like he said, in strength in numbers, I do believe using everything that's here to distract us to our advantage, to educate and motivate people to do their own research, to get out there, to push until some shit's done. Because we may not have everything we want overnight,
of course not.
But if we can push enough and be consistent enough and be well read enough to where our kids has the same tenacity, they got the same, hey, I'm gonna get up and
go. I guess my question is that we've been at this for 400 years though. That's the problem.
You said what?
My issue is that we have been pushing for 400 years about
and we're not out there picking cotton right now. Now, mind you, I know there's a different form of slavery going on. Shout out to my brother who's in jail. I get it. But progress is being made. It's not what we want it to be yet, but we can't act like we're in that same exact place. Because
we're not. And I agree with you, but is it that different though? Is it that different? Because if they have moved slavery from what it was to just putting people in jail at a higher percentage for the same shit that somebody else who's white.
We still have our battles to fight, but at the same
time, what I'm saying is, like, having
so much progression as a people.
A white rapist can get 3 months in jail, while a nigga with a joint gets 6 years. To me, that's the same shit.
That's okay, but I'm not living in some white man's house being raped on a daily.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
I understand
nowhere near the same.
Absolutely.
It is apples
and oranges. I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree.
Nowhere near the same thing.
DJ, here you go. It's pumpkins and squirrels.
It's pumpkins and squirrels.
It's pumpkins and squirrels, honey.
You know you love my analogies.
I'm gonna use it. You know I'm gonna use
it. I want to say 3 things.
Yes.
Go ahead. Before it's time to cut off.
Yeah, because we got a few minutes left. Right. Yep.
So I want to say these 3 things to make it simple, because like I said, I could get back into the warranty argument, because when your phone breaks at a certain amount of time within a purchase, that company warranty says that we are either going to fix it or we're going to send you a new one.
Right.
Because we don't know, but for the people that don't read the fine print in the warranty, they often don't know what they are entitled to. Those are your laws. So, but we don't believe that we have that power when we actually do. Your car is not going to do anything for you yet until you actually get in it and actually take control of it, right? Otherwise, it's just going to sit in the driveway. It takes you having action. You can't say, well, everybody else got their comfortable cars and it's taking them.
Okay.
So, but if for voting and really to do anything, I have this fundamental simplistic viewpoint that you, no matter what the topic is, you can, and the more educated that we become, the easier, the more of a trap that we end up making it for ourselves, is because you can always come up with more reasons to not do something than it is to do something.
I disagree. I'm going to disagree, because you just said it. You just said the warranty, if you don't read the fine print, the reason people don't read the fine print is because nobody taught them to. I'm just saying. I'm just keeping it simple, like you.
That's what it's coming back down to.
Absolutely.
But that's what I'm saying. So the reason why I wanted to start this podcast in the first place was because I wanted to be informative. Like, that's why I like doing our conspiracy theory ones. I like our current events ones, you know. But the problem is that, like, I think a lot of people here, I don't want to vote as nothing matters, and that I'm here to change that too.
I think at this point it's your responsibility to make sure that people know what matters.
I feel like I have to make those changes, and that's why I like talking about it.
And that we do, because I say, for instance, your podcast, you could have, if you would have overthought it, you would have been like, well, everybody got a podcast. Why do I need to start one?
Right.
Why do I need to start a business when other people, I don't go to school for that. Or they come up with more reasons to not take action when all it takes is for you to take action. Number 2, a few years back, Goldman Sachs actually wrote a letter to their clients, literally saying that the only thing that is a risk to their portfolio is the fact that in this country, everybody has an equal weighted vote. Literally, you can Google it. They literally say that. That is the other thing about distraction and getting people to either get in line or focus on issues that are not going to have legislation behind it or not.
And yeah, just to push point on that, the funniest thing to me for this election was that Trump being ill-educated the way that he is, because he's one of those rich guys who got money.
He acts like he's not.
No. What I mean is that he understands business. I'm not saying he doesn't understand business.
He's a horrible operator.
No, he understands business, because if he didn't understand business, he wouldn't have made it all the way to presidency. Trust me, I know that. What I'm saying is,
no, let's call handlers, and you understand show business, because he ran that shit like a show.
The show business is business. Their own
bath water. Hey, decided to run along with
every business is show business, because if your marketing is not good, you ain't selling shit.
Exactly. And that's another reason why people believe that their vote counted for them, because you're selling me on something, right? Yep. So at the end of the day, if we're still reversing it back to you educating people, there's a bunch of people that are like, you got to walk it how you talk it. So I can't listen to you say all this stuff, and at the end of the day, you're still not voting on a local level.
Right. I understand that. But in order for me to vote at a local level, I have to see changes on the ballot. There are no changes on the ballot.
And it's easy. You just
but it doesn't start. Those changes don't start on the ballot unless you start at a lower educational level.
You just teed up my final point.
What is it?
My final point is that we've been taught vote.
Right.
But voting is nothing more than the signature for what you have already fought and negotiated for.
Right. That's where that
is.
That vote is the closing of that contract. So if you don't like what's on the contract and you didn't participate in the discussions leading up to that ballot being put together, then you have already lost.
That's what I'm saying. It's easy to start a conversation. The vote is just to finalize everything.
If you really want to make change, start today, tomorrow morning, or tonight, drafting up some bullet points and saying like, hey, I got these ideas. We got social media, we got
I don't think when we're talking about education, we're talking about the same thing.
Who all agrees with me? You ain't got to run for office to do it.
We're not talking about the same educational system, though.
CJ needs to run for office.
CJ needs to run for office.
I get the CJ battle education, right? Because I'm on that as far as changing what we can do now.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Battle, about the education of the adults. I'm talking about education of the youngers.
Which starts with us.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the bottom. Because if we don't educate our young ones to become the people who need to be in office and in those positions to have the right mindset for our people, and I'm not just talking about black people, I'm talking about for the nation, then we can't make those changes because those names don't end up on the ballot.
But that still starts with us, because like you said, these kids ain't just gonna up and
I understand that, but that's what I mean. The education needs to start at a bottom level. So unless we make changes.
I love the mic, Brandy.
It's the mic and the wig, child.
I'm so good. If you're not watching this, you need to watch it, because Brandy got her mic. I haven't picked it up yet. I've been picking up my crown mostly.
She got on her
crown.
If somebody don't play Red Light Special, I'm gonna be mad.
I'm done.
Oh my God, D started.
No.
I'm starting it.
Oh my God.
No, he said he started.
I'm just done. But like, I think this was a great episode, because I think we got different viewpoints. Without us sounding too much like Biden and Trump on their first presidential debate, because that shit was
way better than that shit show.
That was terrible. Yeah, I know the second one, somebody had talked to them. Somebody talked to them for the second one.
I was so embarrassed.
Oh, that lady wasn't playing with them on that second one.
Oh yeah, she was not.
Cut your mic the fuck off.
Yeah. Like, I do have to say one thing though, because I always the reason why I talk about education so much is because even though our forefathers, what we call the forefathers who made the Constitution, and a whole bunch of those guys, even though they weren't for us, they did do one thing right, in my opinion, and that was to have people who, in their specialties, become the top position person in those specialties. And what I mean by that is, if you were in an agricultural department, you knew about that department. If you were about, like, come on, like DeVoe, like Betsy DeVoe, like what the fuck does she know about education?
What the fuck does she know about education?
Like if I had to vote, I will tell you this: if I had voted this year, I would have definitely voted for Jo Jorgensen, because she's the only person in the whole.
Is that just because y'all share a little nickname?
Huh? What?
I said, is that because y'all just share a little nickname?
No, I would have voted no, because she was the only one who I felt would have been qualified on some superficial, like, I guess a superficial way that most people would look at the voting system is like, oh, what has she done? What kind of accomplished? She's the only one with a fucking PhD.
I get what you mean.
I felt the same way about Jill Stein.
Yeah,
I felt the same way about Jill Stein last election, but she wasn't on the ballot in Nevada.
Right. That's the other part, right? So there's something that we have to change as a whole for us to be allowed to have all the names all across the nation. I feel like.
The change starts with your mindset, because you got a lot of people who favor third party candidates and be like, well, I'm not voting because my candidate ain't gonna get enough votes, but you still need to go have your say.
Right.
And then on top of that,
that's my thing. If everybody is on that same the same wavelength, the same mindset, you're never going to see a change. It's always going to be bipartisan.
And that's why. So this is the part I agree with Mr. Battle, is that distraction for the third party voter is real, because that's what's keeping everybody home. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they're distracted and they're defeated. And
that's what I mean. Defeated more than anything.
You're not reading up on anything. You literally go into a mental shell, and then you keep distracting yourself with Netflix or whatever else the fuck is going on.
Right.
And you're not even going to, prior to this pandemic, you're not even doing your own like little town halls. Some people don't even know who their fucking neighbors are.
Some people don't even know. Like, people can't even name their own fucking state governor.
Listen, no, that's
I mean, like, I don't vote, but I can name my peoples. And
I was at a bar and somebody was like, "Who is this DeWine and someone else?" Because we were one of the first states to shut down Ohio, and I was like, "Bruh."
Oh, see, I would have been looking around, and I'm like,
it was at the bar I worked at, and I'm like, I know you're not that drunk. I know you fucking lying.
No,
and I'm not even from Ohio.
But that's why it's so, for me, it's so important. And you know what? And I will probably take you guys up on this shit, since everybody. I'll just do a "Did you know" segment with CJ.
Yes!
Like, come on.
Yay.
Like, I really do feel like even though this might be like the smallest platform right now, if we're gonna make changes, and if it starts with one person, then maybe that's what I need to be doing.
It's a big informative.
This might have been great practice for me to get back into that, and who knows, in 20 years I might be a goddamn president. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean, who knows in 20 years? Speaking into existence, girl. You got
it. I'm just saying. I already told Rob. I said we might be the first couple that's running president, vice president.
If you're really trying to get people to listen and change, you got to have message discipline.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the reason. So you shorten up your message to bullet points and repeat it.
Yeah, because people don't have attention spans.
And over and over. I mean, you still got people legit thinking that one specific party is going to take away a Second Amendment. And I'm
Isn't that the craziest shit though?
You know how many people got guns?
They really. I'm like, the majority of the Democratic Party got guns. They ain't taking it for themselves.
One of my friends that got one, she put it so perfectly when she gave an analogy. She said, "I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm just trying to figure out like why everybody and their mama was running to grab these guns. What's going on?" She's like, "Girl, it reminded me of how when you playing and you see one black person running and then everybody just and you don't talk about why you're running. You get to the end,
you just go and do it.
What was that? And it's like, we had to buy guns. Trump was reelected. It was gonna be a race war. Nigga, what?
Let me talk about, just real quick before we go, how like I'm on those mom pages on Facebook. Y'all know I always refer to them because I find interesting shit. Like toilet paper running out at the Target here locally. Toilet paper running out at the grocery store already.
Oh, man.
And what happens? So what happens when you see that is everybody gets a little bit like tight cheeked in their booties, and everybody wants to go buy more toilet paper. And I'm like, I'm not trying to have a repeat of earlier this year. I'm really not.
You know what? It scares me, but then it also gives me hope, because it's like, obviously it scares me because so many people quickly unravel into chaos, and I would hate to be a part of a generation that sees some real crazy zombie land shit.
Listen,
because we're in for it, because these people don't know how to act. Listen. But then it also gives me some type of hope, because it's like, y'all know how to do some follow the leader shit. Y'all just need the right leadership. That's it. I just hope we get to a place, and maybe I will, like you guys said, I will be the forerunner for this, because I'm just tired. It's not hopelessness. I'm tired and weary of seeing things,
people say, do politicians that we currently have talk about the kids in cages, nothing happening to them for the last, I don't know how long, you know what I'm saying? Or like all of our brothers and sisters who are jailed up for no like petty shit, while like they have white people yoga magazines talking about people using weed to do this and that, but our brothers and sisters are in fucking jail. Like I can't do it. It's annoying as fuck. It's frustrating as fuck. And I feel like I speak for the majority of the people who don't vote. They may not voice it as eloquently as I do sometimes, but I feel like they come from a similar place, and that's why they don't go and do it. And I want to be the person who like, we can change this. I agree with all three of you. That's the weirdest thing, right? Because I agree that we need to be able to vote for somebody, but I need to be able to vote for somebody that doesn't just look like me, like Kamala, because she looks like me. But like I said, not everything that's melanated is for us, because I need proof that she's not going to be another Obama. That's all.
So, the other thing that I will say is that oftentimes when we think of politics, ain't politics.
Well,
so that is partisan theater.
Right. It is.
You have to politics, as Ben Franklin put it, is the art of the possible. Right. And much like real estate, it is always local.
CJ read books that this CJ does. I can tell.
Politics is always local. That is the effectivity of the, we'll say the Electoral College, even though I hate it.
Well, I know, but I mean, it's the truth though, because that's why they don't talk about local voting.
But in 2010, they aimed for local control of state houses, because that's when they wiped out a lot of the power and numbers that we had. We were already moving out of black neighborhoods, so we kind of self-inflicted that wound, with desegregation, and wanted to have a piece of what the other people
goes into a whole other episode we can have.
Right, but in any case, if you really want to start, I mean, I heard you mention earlier that people don't know their neighbors. Having something that you care about, well, that'll be a great introduction to even getting to know your neighbors. Go knock on the door, be like, hey, my name is CJ.
They put so much fear into doing that.
About this particular issue. Can we have it on our local ballot?
Exactly. I'm like, people don't even, and it seems silly to say, but I told a neighbor that I talked to through my mask. We laughed because I'm like, people don't even like do the whole Jello mold thing. And I know that's archaic. I get it.
Right.
But it's the symbolism of it. It's like, if I know you and you know me, maybe we can run into even less like the microaggressions that we come across, where you're looking at me crazy because you ain't even know I could afford to live in this neighborhood. Our kids go to fucking school together.
Right.
Like, we need to know each other so we can have a conversation.
But they have succeeded in giving us fear. And when I say us, I'm not talking about the four of us on here. I'm talking about a lot of people outside of this group. They've succeeded in fear mongering, basically, that people who look like us have other agendas other than the same thing that they do. And what I mean by that, we just want a good school district just like they do. We want a good neighborhood just like they do. We want a good job just like they do. But some reason they've made it a point to make sure that people who look like us are made out to be thugs, criminals, whatever. You know the whole spiel. You know all of that.
Redlining is definitely
so it makes it. I have yet to I've had my neighbors like looking at us but not wanting to talk to us, and I know that it makes it harder, being that I don't want to stereotype, but I am in Texas. People break necks when they see swirl couples still to this day. I can't even walk in Target. Yeah, I can't even walk through Target sometimes, and Rob don't notice because his ass is white. He don't notice. Like, I notice. You know what I'm saying? And it's not every day because I live in the Metroplex, but it's definitely
I was
there.
like, it's enough. It's enough.
Yeah, it's enough for me to notice it. And if it's enough for me to notice it in the city, then I can't even imagine what our sisters and brothers are going through if they're not in a city-like atmosphere still to this day. And it's 2020.
I live in the city now, but I'm a country boy, and there's always a certain level of respect in my area because we let them know that we're not weak. So everybody knows. That's the major part. You cannot tense up and shy away.
But here's the thing. I think the difference between us who are charismatic and who have that strength and ability to stand our ground, there's a lot more people who are opposite of that than there is that are stronger.
There are, but those people,
and that's why we have to step up and be
exactly.
We have to get cover for them until they can build up their muscles.
So we ready for a new party? Are all of us doing this?
I'm anti-party.
A new party?
I think we need a political. If anything, I'll be all for a political action committee.
All right, let's do it.
I'm down.
But, oh my God, what's our name?
The red light special.
Red light special.
Bam.
Done. Red light special coming to your town nearby.
Free the tatas.
Not free the tatas.
Yes, go D.
Oh my God, the music disclaimer. That is not our music.
On a serious issue, to take back our power was something that we mentioned a couple of times in about the prison industrial complex, primarily when it comes down to giving felons who have served their time or even serving or even actively serving their time. You can start that petition in your state tonight to get them their voting rights back.
Right.
That starts on a local level. Your political party ain't gonna
can
give
you
it to
imagine
you
how much the voting will swing if we allowed that to happen too?
I just thought about that after I talked to my brother, and even with him starting school, he's probably almost going to be done with like a 10-year bid, right? And he's finally just now starting school because they focus on getting them school closer to the out date when they have out dates. Meanwhile, I'm like, you could have had 10 degrees in 10 years, like, you know, flippantly saying it, but had a lot done certificate degree wise, but that's also getting into a whole other episode because these aren't rehabilitation centers like you're saying. This is just a money grab. It's ridiculous what it's paid for, and I would have never paid attention to it. I would have never cried watching the 13th or none of that the way I did had it not affected me directly with my brother.
You want to
insane to hear what he experiences, to see it when I walk in there. I feel like, I know it sounds stupid or probably going to sound stupid to some people. I feel a cloud of oppression.
It is, but one of my brothers has been in since 1996. Since 1996.
It feels awful. It's
and
like,
every time he's up for parole, you know what they do in Georgia to him? Do you know what they do? They move him to a different fucking facility and he has to start over. And we can't get into that because that's another 3-hour episode. But
like the whole prison.
There are things in place. That's what I'm saying. We need to dismantle and rebuild, I guess is my point.
Ironically, that's a move that they play with the power games in our system quite a bit, is they move you around.
Yep,
like
that's what I mean.
Prison.
Yep.
They move you around.
But then that is, like you said, a whole nother episode, because I do believe in power in numbers and unity. And that's why a lot of that stuff we talked about episodes ago with what's Black enough and everything else. I'm like, if we all rally together,
it's over. It's over for you bitches.
It's over for you bitches. That's our slogan.
Oh my God. Can that be your slogan? It's over for you bitches.
Over for you bitches. I'm with it.
We love the feminists. We love you guys.
If y'all really want to get that started, I can plug you in with the organizing network that got it passed here in Florida.
No, wait. Since D said
for real,
we need to do it because you're avoiding D.
Avoiding what?
We're going to do this.
Do we really like, I don't want to do the work. That's how you said it.
He gonna do it.
Do we?
Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know.
Do we really know work?
We're gonna make D do it. We always force D to do stuff.
Do you want to be great, or do you want to be in your stupid fucking jacket, fake smiling to people for the rest of your goddamn life?
God damn day, that's all I do anyway.
Yeah, we need to get out of that.
Don't you want to mean something? Don't you want a statue of yourself in gold wearing a really cute one-shoulder dress?
Not a gold. I'm through. See how Brandy just ruins everything?
I'm about to borrow one of your wigs, Brandy.
Okay. If it's a statue of T'Challa and Captain America, don't you want them to be alive?
Oh my God.
You can do this.
I can't. Anyway, we have gone way over time today, but for good reason.
Did we really
though?
We did a little bit.
Did we really
our first episode was 3 hours. Our second episode. So I think we did
that was like the second episode.
By the way, our third episode that is 3.5 hours still our top fucking viewership.
Of course it is.
Because it's about sex.
You're giving people the energy though.
Yeah. So Mr. Battle, thank you for being here. I really want you to come back because I love that I can go back and forth with you. Because these niggas don't like listening to me anyway. So
we don't. That's what we don't do.
First of all,
listen to CJ.
We listen to you. We just
they just ignore me.
No, we hear you, but we don't listen.
I know y'all just don't even respond.
Yeah,
they're so rude.
And sometimes what you're talking about is bullshit, and I don't have time for it.
They just want to twerk on the video and like sing songs all day. So I can't.
And then while you talking about
you say that like somebody granddaddy just did though.
The what?
The same bullshit for 22 years.
Old granddaddy ass. And then you owe me a thank you anyway because who got the CJ Battle here?
Oh, see how she is?
No, who did? Who did?
Look, and meanwhile, I haven't gotten one single fucking copyright from her in about a month and a half. So let's not even. We can talk about stuff.
First of all, we talked in a month and a half because it's been Blocktober 1.
Okay. I thought you was
whole month and a half.
No, I wasn't gonna come for you, Demetrius. Not like him. His ass ain't been doing shit, CJ. And you gonna come at me? And he even getting tidbit.
Mr. Battle said, "I'm not in this one. This y'all."
I started another show. I am busy. Okay.
I am so done. I am busy.
No, you think people appreciate you.
Oh my god.
And they don't. And
she coming out. She coming out.
Here we go.
Shit. She took the wig off.
The wig one. The wig is gone. She done dropped it.
I
went.
What's the episode of Martin? She's like, you forgot the neutralizer. That'd be fucked up.
Oh my god.
Hella bald and shit.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. She like just popped in with a bald ass head. Yes.
You look like Eartha Kitt.
Oh my god. Anyway, let me wrap this up. Oh my god. Anyway,
Dimitri from content because that could have been a tidbit.
Don't make me hop after you.
Not hot.
I'm not hot.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. I forgot about that part.
Oh my god. Anyway,
she said my eyelashes too.
You see how they are?
I'm sorry, CJ's trying to close now.
I'm trying to close. Thank you again, Mr. CJ Battle, for coming out. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me.
I'm excited. I really wish that more people would look into these things like you do, because you are obviously well versed in all of these like information, and a lot of people that we talk to are not. Like I know locally, just talking to friends and stuff, they're just lost. You know what I'm saying?
It don't always feel good.
Our friends are dumb. They dumb.
It's lonely at the top. It's always lonely.
People
don't mess around and all they want to do is talk about the game or what.
It's not fun. I be bored as fuck sometimes because the game is fun. I love talking about sports. I'm into sports. I play sports, all of that good stuff. Or I'm talking about anime, love anime, watch anime. I love movies, all of that good stuff. But sometimes we can talk about some real shit, and not a lot of people avoid it.
Even with the dumb ones, you can maybe politically charge something.
Not the dumb ones.
Like,
the way she's
you can take something like Tokyo Ghoul, take some type of anime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dan does that with Dragon Ball all the time.
I say use it to your advantage. Be like, look,
Trump, like how Trump supporters.
I don't want y'all to have a discussion. Just sign here. Come with me.
Come on now.
Come on down.
Hey,
so I want to ask y'all this real quick. Did they party in y'all city the way they partied here in Vegas when they announced who won the presidency?
Oh shit, nigga! I didn't even go out.
They acted like
I didn't go out.
What?
They acted like we overthrew fucking Kim Jong. I was like, what the fuck?
I mean, I guess it's because
glow sticks.
They acted like the ticker tape parade that went out after World War II.
Yeah.
What did that one meme say? It's because we're gonna be able to get back to regular racism.
It was dipping their wives and shit,
dipping their wives and kissing, which is funny because
not dipping their wives and kissing.
That was not his wife. And that's another episode though. Consent.
That was just a random girl he grabbed.
Consent, people.
One of the funniest comments I saw when they was showing up everybody partying in the streets, and they were like, "Yeah," and Rona just sitting in the cut taking selfies.
Yeah, taking selfies.
For real.
I'm dead.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Shout out to Onyx because had it not been for her, had it not been for me asking her. But had it not been for her, we wouldn't have had CJ.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Gave him, and she said, "You listen." So I appreciate you, girl.
Yes, thank you so much.
Everything you said he was gonna be.
I hope I lived up to even 10% of whatever
she said.
She did. She gave you a star review because I asked her on a scale of 1 to 10 how did she feel about politics. She rated herself, and she immediately passed it to you.
She said he was a 12.
Yeah, and I was excited. I was like, all right,
no, that's good though. It's so rare that we can find people who can go back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Actually know what they're talking about. And not be in their feelings and make people feel really bad and wrong about themselves.
Yeah, because a lot of people, especially when it comes to politics and religion, the big thing is people can't have a conversation. It turns into a screaming match, and it turns into people insulting one another.
Yeah, that's
so
what
the fact
we don't want.
We don't want that.
Some people can't even talk to you if you say you believe in Black Jesus, but you're not identify as Christian. You're immediately a harlot.
Exactly.
I can't. Yeah, I believe that actually talking about those kind of things actually reaffirms your beliefs after having an exchange of ideas. I mean, I remember on a religion piece, I remember hearing a story a little while back about a Jewish lady, Muslim lady, and a Christian lady. They got together and just started talking. And not only did they come around to being more empathetic to each other's point of view, but it also strengthened their own individual faith in whatever they believed in already.
Yeah, conversation is important.
I believe. Well, don't get me on my soapbox, but there's a reason. There's a reason that the First Amendment is structured the way that it is, and that is most times you ask what the First Amendment, they usually only name one of all the stuff that's packed in it. They'd be like, "Oh, freedom of speech." Yeah,
there's a reason for that. They forget about the consequences and all the other stuff.
Freedom of press. That's another one. Freedom of religion. Freedom of assembly. Well, the reason why that is structured the way that it is because these flawed men knew each other. They didn't get along.
No, of course.
They didn't trust each other, but they also had the foresight to know that they didn't have all the answers at the time. So they believed, because their main action was to not have an authoritarian or a monarchy come and take over and tell them what to do again.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the whole thing they try to escape when they got here. So
which people don't even get all the way back into, which is amazing. Because I'm just like, what? Yeah. Huh? How are we not starting? Because like he was saying way earlier in the episode, and we're gonna have to shut it down.
Yes, we did.
If people decided to read and go back and not affiliate themselves with Black has to be democratic. And then when you're like, well, hold on, we weren't always associated with this. And then when you go further back, none of this shit even fucking mattered. Right. Where are we adopting these customs from? It all came over and trickled down and they did what they wanted to do.
Yeah, they did.
Not thinking about us. It is our job to think about us.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I feel like we're our responsibility and we got to look out for us better than what we expect somebody else to do. But no shade to allies, because we appreciate the allies. Without allies, we couldn't have something like...
because our population is only a certain percentage versus...
Which irritates the shit out of me. Why are we consistently 13% for the last 100 years?
We 13% because they keep incarcerating us. That's why.
Oh my God, yes. They're as soon as we go up, they're like, wait a minute.
They're like, hold on, 14%. 14%. We need to take 2,000 niggas over here and put them in jail.
A lot of people didn't want to listen to her, but Candace Owens was spitting on that shit. And I don't agree with everything she says with her split ends ass. But she was spitting when she was talking about the majority and what we need to look out for and actually being not so lenient. And I get why we do it as a people, but again, it's another episode.
So forgiving.
People coming in here because it's we're just getting smaller and smaller and less important. And we don't need to have anybody looking at us politically as, oh, well, they don't matter. Let's cater to this group. Nah, homie, you need to cater to us and our dollar and a whole bunch of other shit going on. Yeah. But then we also at the other end say we're not a monolith, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. Anyway, I gotta shut it down, you guys. It's going on and on. We can talk about this forever.
Definitely been real. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, so if you have enjoyed our podcast thus far, make sure you check out our other episodes as well, the news angle and the sex angle, which I don't even need to fucking talk about because everybody watches the sex angle no matter what.
They sure do.
They sure do.
Don't forget. I ain't get the invite for that one.
Oh yeah, the sex angle is fun too. You know, look at Brandy, look at D. I can't. I don't know what she's doing. Anyway, make sure that you subscribe to your favorite podcast platform. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. I'm going to go back and see if we can make some comments happen. I'm just ignoring these niggas because they do this every time that I record. This is the thing that they do at the end of the episode. Anyway, don't forget to check out everything else. CJ is catching up soon. Don't worry, it's coming. I know I've been getting DMs like, where's my episode? I'm working.
My comments talking about this.
I know. I'm coming. I've been busy. My other business is profiting right now. So
And then to be fair, her birthday was the end of my birthday.
Yes, and I've been like, October was my birthday, my kid's birthday, my niece's birthday, and my other niece's birthday. It was a birthday every week. So anyways, with that said, y'all stay safe, logical, blessed, and woke. If you're Black, stay Black. And if you're not, POCs and allies unite. We catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.